Hi folks, it's Dr. Tim Kitchen here, and I'm very, very pleased to have with me Krissa Diamante. Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
It's Diamante.
Diamante, there we go. I've got that. Krissa Diamante. Now, Krissa, you're well known to a lot of educators in New South Wales, but maybe not to other parts of the country. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do and where you teach?
So my name is Krissa Diamante, and I am a secondary educator currently teaching at Canleyvale High School. I teach industrial technology, multimedia, and STEM. So that's my passion.
And we've got you on this particular vodcast because something very special happened last year leading into this year, and it's the New South Wales Premiers Award. Can you tell us a little bit about the award?
Yeah, so basically, I have been fortunate enough to be the recipient for the 2025 New South Wales Premier Hickson Lawyer STEM Scholar. And we were awarded it last August, and basically there were 17 teachers across the state that were invited to the State Library here in New South Wales, and we were awarded with the Premier as well as the Deputy Premier the awards. So it's been hectic, it's been crazy, but what this scholarship is allowing me to have is a 5-week study tour, either locally, nationally, or internationally. And best believe I took the opportunity to go internationally and give myself a global study tour.
Just amazing. And when I heard about it, I was so excited. And then you asked me for some contacts in America. And so just backtracking a little bit, the reason why we know each other is because Chris is part of the Adobe Creative Educator community. She's an ACE leader currently. And I was just so excited when she got this opportunity to go overseas. So tell us about what your itinerary was all about.
Yeah, so with the scholarship, I've been granted a 5-week study tour. And again, it's either local, national, or international. And what that involved is me planning out pretty much from day 1 to day 35 what I will be doing. And it really solely just focused on researching AI in the classroom. Especially as a classroom teacher, I wanted to kind of understand the whole craze as well as the whole fear behind AI in the classroom. And I wanted to see what I can do with this scholarship outside of the country and then bring it back into the country as well as into our state in New South Wales.
Wow. So where did you go?
So I went to 5 cities in total. Those cities were Austin, Texas in the US, London, as well as Leeds in UK, Brussels, Belgium. I went to Dubai in UAE, as well as back to San Diego, California in the US.
So Krissa, you've got some images here to share with us.
Yes, I do. So what you will see is this whole collage of images of great educators that I met throughout the 5 weeks that I was there. I didn't want to go through each of them one at a time because I really wanted to emphasize that these educators and what I learned, they were disruptive educators. They basically came out with this whole enthusiasm, whole passion, knowing that AI will actually always be a tool and that an educator will always remain in their role to serve and also support their students. Because I feel before I even started with this scholarship, I had this idea that AI will actually take over. But what I came to recognize after my scholarship trip and also meeting with these fantastic people is that AI is just another educational tool, another edtech tool. And it's up to us at the end of the day to try and actually engage with our students, get those students thinking critically as well as creatively. Because without educators anywhere in the world, and I can vouch to this from what I saw, we are a key to helping our students succeed from the classroom, outside the school gates, and moving forward.
How did you choose which educators to go and visit?
So fortunately, I actually went out of my way to initiate conversations with people on LinkedIn, including I was fortunate enough to make that connection with you a few years ago when you came here at Canley Bell to visit and talk about Adobe Express. I had to initiate that conversation. I had to reach out to people, and fortunately enough, every single individual I spoke to were generous to give me time, regardless of the time zone. We made it work, and I managed to get some itinerary connections done.
Great. So tell me about the highlights, some of the key people you met, and what else you learned.
Yeah, so the key highlights, one of them would definitely be knowing that each educator I met with, they're all so resilient, so adaptive, and they get through. They overcome the fear, and they know that change is uncomfortable, but they're able to actually overcome that. And knowing at the end of the day, it's to support their students. The other thing that really blew my mind was when I went to Brussels, Belgium. I met up with a institution called Fari AI Institute. And this institution basically works with two universities in the heart of Brussels, and they work with researchers who then use their projects and prototypes related to AI, data, and robotics, and relate it back to solving problems that the society is finding challenging at the moment. And they then they hold workshops for all the citizens in Brussels to inform them about AI, because having that general knowledge, that foundation about AI, the AI literacy, the AI competency, getting that out of the university and actually sharing and informing that information to the wider community got them to work together to see that there is value to using it as a tool. So I was playing tic-tac-toe with a robot during Brussels for a moment. Like, it was so interactive. It wasn't like a museum. It was basically you have hands-on, you have these sets of computers or sets of prototypes, and you play around with them, you experiment with them. They had a cave which was known to be immersive and allowed companies and industries to come in to plan out what they can do to support the city.
Great. That's wonderful. So how have you changed as an educator thanks to this opportunity?
Oh man. To be honest with you, the way that this opportunity has opened so many doors, windows, whatever you want to say, it's just gotten me to recognize how much I value myself as an educator. Because there are time and time again where I feel way too bombarded with admin work, with lesson planning, with, making sure that the kids are walking out of the classroom with knowledge on them, or making sure that the students feel safe. But gaining this opportunity, everyone across the world, is so inspiring that I generally would not want to leave education whatsoever. It just makes me recognize that having to serve and ensure that the next generation is equipped, I know I've done my duty. And education itself is such a key.
There you go. So you've kind of been remotivated as an
Yes.
educator, and you're ready for the next 20 years of your career.
Basically. And I think one of the kind of epiphany that I had during my trip was, even though I'm an educator, I'm still a learner. Learning is not just for students. Learning is for everybody.
Yeah, it's an important lesson, isn't it?
Mm.
Now, Krissa, what are your plans now that you've gained this experience?
Yeah, so the way that I'm going to be disseminating my information is I am going to be submitting a report, a secondary expedition report to reflect back on my learnings. So any significant findings, and this will be seen in the New South Wales Scholarship Archives. The other thing as well is I've been privileged enough and honestly blowing my mind till this day that I'll be speaking at EduTech, 2025 in Darling Harbour this year in June. Actually, it's a couple of weeks from now. And I am bringing along this idea of a classroom teacher perspective about AI. So the title of my session is called Future Made Teacher, Preparing for a Future Made Classroom.
Wonderful.
And I cannot wait. Like the thought of me just coming in as a classroom teacher and with this knowledge that I have, I am so excited to share it with everybody. The other thing as well, I've been fortunate to be invited as a panelist to speak at a discussion, which is a white paper launch called Gen Z to Gen AI by Insight Center here in Sydney. And that's happening next week, next Wednesday. And it's going to be involving two other industries. One of the associate director of Insight Center, as well as myself. And I was, again, so shocked to even be, recognize that I have that voice. And as a classroom teacher, I've always been just aware of the four walls, but really the horizons are so wide now. And I'm so excited. I really am. And finally, one of the things that I got really, it was like a big itch. Like I needed to get myself to disseminate this information as a multimodal. So I got myself cracking with Adobe Express and Adobe Podcast. And I got into this kind of deep dive to start up a 5-part podcast series. And it's called Future Ready Teacher Podcast. And I'm up to episode 3. I'm kind of working my brain around it. And the way that I'm going to be doing it is focusing on each country per episode. And I recently just posted my episode 2 on LinkedIn as well as on YouTube. So
fantastic. So we look up Krissa Diamante on LinkedIn and we'll be able to get access to the podcasts.
Yes.
Excellent. Good. And I will give them a promo in our next newsletter as well.
Thank you.
Which would be wonderful. It's always great to see what Adobe Creative Educators are doing and doing it in such a public way. It's going to be great to support you. And what you don't realize is I've actually come across a couple of teachers recently who know you or know of you and have been very inspired already with the work that you've done. So how's that?
Wow, that's unbelievable. Oh, hello, people, if you're watching.
That's so cool. All right, last question from me, Krissa. Let's say we've got some New South Wales teachers, and there'll be many who'll be watching this recording. How could they potentially get involved with these awards in the future?
So getting yourself involved in these awards, I have to say, just take your chance. Like, just take your chance. If you're interested in any topic, again, it's not predominantly for STEM. There is a wide range of scholarships that you can apply for. There were 17 of us during the awards night last August. And for me, my experience of applying for the scholarship, I was just filtering through my emails and I happened to come across it. I had 1 month to write my application and I was like, you know what, let's just focus. Let's just do it. If I'm interested, let's take the chance.
That's great. Well done, Krissa. So lovely to reconnect with you. And I'm so pleased you've had this wonderful opportunity. Thank you for joining us for this particular vodcast. I'm sure you've motivated lots of teachers to consider what they're doing and look for opportunities like this, because the more opportunities you get to go and interact with teachers from around the world, the better the educator you'll become in the future. Krissa, you are an inspiration. Thank you so much for your time and all the very best for EduTech and the future.
Thank you so much, Tim.